Welcome to the Opt-in Podcast. I am your host, Melissa Franks, and this is where we go from surviving to thriving in business. Has anybody ever told you that you need a personal brand? Whether you work for somebody else or you own your own business, likely you've gotten this advice. In fact, the first time that I heard about a personal brand, I think I was 22. I'm not going to take you back to what year that was, but let's say it was a while ago, and I had my first corporate job. I think I was 2 or 3 years into working inside of that business, and they introduced this new revolutionary concept called a personal brand. And they sent us to training, and we had decks and worksheets and all of these things. And there's a lot of irony here because at 22, it was a little tricky to figure out what my personal brand was because I didn't even know who I was yet. However, we went through the exercises and we did the things and we started working on everything that they told us to do. And as with all corporate training endeavors, about 6 months in, everybody had abandoned ship and had gone back to what they knew how to do, which was just be people in their 20s trying to get their work done so that they could go out and hang out with their friends. Stuck with me though that whole time from 22 on, this concept of a personal brand, and I kept going back to why at that time was it important to teach basically the whole company about personal branding and to develop their own. And so it wasn't really until I got to middle management and I was looking ahead and thinking, can I become an executive? Can I continue to climb the ladder? Is that really a possibility for me? It wasn't something I had considered until all of a sudden I had the opportunity to look up and see that it wasn't so far away. And that concept of personal brand came back. And I thought, well, what do I need to be known for? What do I need to have people saying when I'm not in the room? What does my reputation need to be? And it was at that point, probably a decade after that initial training, that I started to see the value of a personal brand and became to intentionally do work around it. That was in the corporate setting. So the shame in that entire set of activities and processes was I developed a personal brand inside of a corporation and nobody knew unless they worked there. So when I came out into the startup world and then eventually the entrepreneurial world, I was unknown. I didn't have a personal brand. I had a LinkedIn profile with a whole bunch of people following me, and I had a social media following, but I don't even know who was sitting in there. Could have been a bunch of bots for all I knew. But what I did know is that nobody knew about that personal brand that had propelled me to the C-suite and corporate. And that was when I realized that for as much work as I did there, that brand also didn't fit anymore. And as I became an entrepreneur, I really started to think about, does the business need a brand or do I need a brand? Do both of them need a brand? What's the difference? My business is called On Call COO. It's not called Melissa Franks Fractional COO. And so for a while, I sat in kind of this, I don't think I need a personal brand. I don't think that it's important for me to be the forefront because I want this business to be the forefront. So for those of you that own a business, this episode is for you because I want to talk to you specifically about why having a personal brand, whether you work for somebody else or you own your own business, is critical to your long-term success. I learned this lesson the hard way multiple times, and this podcast is dedicated to helping you not struggle the way that I did when I decided to pivot. I've had the opportunity over the last month to talk quite a bit about overcoming setbacks and pivoting and how to make the move from one industry to another or one career path to another or working in corporate to going to an entrepreneurial lifestyle. And what I will tell you over and over and over and over and over again is that I have had the realization that if I had had a very public and solid personal brand, this would have been so much easier. So just learn from me a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what a personal brand is. I'm going to tell you the 6 reasons you cannot ignore it. And then we're going to wrap this whole thing up with a bow. So are you ready? Good. Okay, so a personal brand, honestly, I said it a few minutes ago. Really all that is the perception of other people about you. It's their definition of who you are, what your values are, your style, how you talk and communicate, what your story is. It's It's what people understand, true or not, about you. The other thing that a personal brand is not something that you define. It's defined by other people. So the biggest misperception about personal brand or branding in general, it doesn't even matter if it's a personal brand, is that you solely are the one who explains it, demonstrates it, etc. It's everybody's perception of what you're putting out into the world, whether it be your business brand or your personal brand. It's all perception. And so what you have to pay attention to is what they're perceiving. So if you're putting out, you believe that you're putting out into the world a brand that shows professionalism and excellence and trustworthiness, and what you're hearing back as feedback is that it's a little bit off-putting and that you're rigid and inflexible and kind of scary in your intensity, well, what you were attempting to do did not achieve the desired result, so shift. You have to pay attention to what you are intending and how it's being received and interpreted so that you can ensure that the personal brand that you have out there in the world, in the real world with real humans, is aligned to what you were trying to do. Y'all know this, but a brand is not a logo or a color palette or an aesthetic. Now, can you be recognized? Can you see something and immediately think, oh, I know what that is? Yes, it's not the only thing, however. And think about brands that you are aware of. Think about individuals that you would follow to the ends of the earth. Think about those people when you see their Instagram posts or you see an ad for them that pops up and you're like, oh, I know exactly who that is. I know exactly what they stand for. Think about those people, and you would be shocked if you went back and compared what you believe and know of them to what they're putting out into the world, because it's not the same. You take all of the context cues from them and you develop your perception of them. So please remember as we go through this that personal brand is really just other people's perceptions. It's their reflection of what you're putting out into the world. And while you can influence it by all of the things that you do, absolutely, because how you feed the machine runs, you also need to understand if the output of the machine is not quite what you intended, and then you go back and you fine-tune the machine so that it delivers the output that you want, right? So 6 reasons why you must pay attention to a personal brand. First and foremost, it builds trust and credibility. People want to buy from real humans. At least once a month in a sales call, I have somebody say to me, it is so nice to be talking to a real human, to know the person that I would be working with, to understand that there is a human element to this business. This is not a like, know, and trust situation. I want to be clear. So for those of you that are in the online selling space and you've heard like, know, and trust, this is not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. They want to understand that there is genuine humans running the business. They want to understand what your values are. And it's important that they understand the humans behind the business because it determines your level of credibility. Every business is run by people, by humans, every single one. And when somebody is deciding if they want to work with you, you know what they do? They Google you. They go on your social media accounts. They go on your LinkedIn. They go find whatever media they can find to research you. Even if it's your business, which isn't as a human, even if it's your business, they still want to know who they're working with and for. They want to know that if you're selling them a good or a service that you have positive reviews and your employees like working for you and you have knowledge and expertise that's going to bring them value or solve the problem that they have in front of them. Having a personal brand helps you build credibility, build authority. People will trust you. And that is the foundation of them wanting to work or buy from you. The second thing that a personal brand does is it differentiates you from the competition. We all know that we are not unique in business. You could line up hundreds, if not thousands, of other businesses that are doing exactly what you do. And you have to find a way to differentiate. In the physical goods space, We could talk about how you end up with prime shelf placement, right? How are you getting differentiated? Is it the colors of your product? Is it your packaging? Is it where it's placed? Is it price point? Your personal brand differentiates you and your business from the competition, because what's unique to you and your business is your background, your perspectives, your tone, your values. Your personal brand, when paired with your business brand, becomes the reason that people choose to work with your business. When they can understand how the two things go together, they can see the entire picture and they can understand how it all works. People want to work with businesses that they like. They want to like the leaders. They want, in this day and age, they want to know that your value system aligns with theirs. If the Target boycott has taught us nothing else besides this, it's that consumers, when they see a business move away from a value system that they are aligned with, they move away from the business. Target just this week communicated that they are struggling, in part because of tariffs, but more substantially because of the boycott activity that's happened with the rollback of their DEI initiatives. Target changed their value system, and therefore people left the business. And not only did they rail against Target, they railed against the CEO and the board of directors and specific individuals making these decisions, because those individuals had a personal brand that aligned with the business brand, and they made human decisions that changed the value system and the structure and then allowed everybody to see what their real value system was. Your personal brand always matters, and it's going to differentiate you from the competition, good and bad. So what you want to ensure is that you're very clear about what people are perceiving of you and your business so that you can make sure it's aligned with what you're wanting them to understand and know. The third thing that a personal brand does is it attracts opportunity. And this can be anything: media, partnerships, speaking engagements, collaborations. Having a personal brand that's recognized makes you the top of mind business, entrepreneur, leader in your space. I want to share a little bit of a story with you about this because it's time relevant, although this is coming out a few weeks after the fact. I'm recording this in the month of May, almost at the end of May. You should be able to hear this in early June, I think, or at some point in the future, here nor there. And this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. I have been lucky enough to have the opportunity to speak with both CBS News and TV12. TV12 is a major station in the New York City, 5 boroughs area. And with that New York opportunity also came the opportunity to have a billboard in Times Square. Now, the two are not related per se. However, media opportunities presented themselves because of my personal brand. I started this whole thing telling you that my business is On Call COO. It's not Melissa Frank's Fractional COO. We are connected. And therefore, the media opportunities that I have, the opportunity to have 3 billboards in Times Square for a week promoting the business, it all helps build the personal brand and enables On-Call COOs to start to become top of mind in the space. So when people start to think about your business, what you want them to have is a memory, a recollection. Yeah, that person is valued by CBS News. I absolutely would love to get their brain inside of my business. Or I saw that product on the Today Show. I really want to try that. Media gives you instant credibility because, let's be honest, these major networks aren't just throwing you on there for giggles. They're vetting you. They're making sure that what you're saying is actually true. They're giving you some gravitas, and by building that personal brand for you, it reflects onto your business. It strengthens the business brand because you are connected. A personal brand attracts opportunities. It opens doors that you didn't even know existed. This is exactly why you want to invest in building yours. The fourth reason that you need a personal brand is because it future-proofs your business. Your brand, your personal brand, is yours forever. Nobody can buy it from you. It follows you everywhere. And as I started with, if it's rock solid and you have really invested time into it, it stays with you when you pivot. So now remember what I said to you, that I had built this great personal brand inside of a corporate institution, and I had kept it private. It was like privately held information. And so when I left that institution and entered the real world, it disappeared. I had spent all of this time and attention and energy over in this space because the nuance there was that it was a private personal brand. It was only available and accessible to certain people. So the lesson that I learned is my personal brand needs to be public, and it needs to be loud and audacious and undeniable, so that in the future, if an opportunity comes to pivot again, I have the strength of my personal brand with me. And that's what you want too. The one thing that we know for certain is that life is uncertain. We cannot predict what is going to happen next. We cannot identify when the next opportunity or the next setback will occur. So the best thing that we can do to future-proof ourselves is to build a public, personal brand that will stand the test of time. In addition to that, having a solid personal brand that's recognizable is going to make it easier for you to build and scale new ventures. If you are an entrepreneur, likely you have had businesses that have failed so far, you're in a business now, and you probably already have ideas for what you want to do next. The best way to be able to scale your existing business or enter new ventures is to be known. Remember, the third reason was it attracts opportunities. New ventures is an opportunity, and you need to have a personal brand and be known and recognized and credible and trusted in order for those to come your way. The fifth reason that a personal brand is so important and something that you need is it allows you to connect through your story. Your personal brand is not just your professional persona. It's who you are as a human. It's your value set. It's your stories. It's your triumphs and your failures. It's your family. It's your passions and stuff you passionately dislike too. A personal brand allows people to get glimpses of who you are and connect with you on a human element. It allows you to be vulnerable, demonstrate growth, and share lessons with the community and the world at large. Like I said, these media opportunities that I've had has given me an opportunity to speak about the tactics that I learned and used to overcome setbacks that occurred in my life in 2023. Now, had I used these before? Absolutely. I didn't have a personal brand that allowed me the opportunity to communicate those to other people at a large scale. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people will now hear the advice and the experience that I have from overcoming a setback, and they'll have the ability to do that for themselves when the situations present themselves. It allows me to connect with strangers out there in the world through my story and the lessons that I learned. The other thing that's important is that having stories as a part of your personal brand humanizes you, and people remember you because of your stories. They don't remember your sales pitch. They don't remember that ad that you showed one time. They don't remember the freebie that got them on your email list. They remember the stories. They remember that one thing that you shared that resonated with them and has them be a fan for life. They walk into events with their family and friends or colleagues and tell your stories for you. When you make an impact, when your personal brand is available and accessible and you are vulnerable and you teach lessons and build connection through stories, other people start to share your brand in the same way. And the last one, because after all, we are a business podcast, the sixth reason you need a personal brand is because it fuels sales without the ick. It fuels sales without the ick. Warm leads, referrals, followers, friends of friends, people in your local communities, they become clients faster. When you are relationship driven, when you are there to help and to understand, when you are there really listening and engaging, your sales cycle actually gets shorter. When you are rooting for the other person at the end of the conversation on the other side of the table, it means that you are really clear about whether or not your goods or services can help them. It removes that icky, sleazy feeling that some people have about sales, because all you're doing is having a genuine connection and determining if there is a good fit there. These are just 6 reasons why a personal brand is important. There are so many more, but maybe you're still thinking, I don't want people to know who I am. I'm a private person. I don't want to share my life. My business doesn't have anything to do with me. I just want to go back under the covers and hide. So here's the downside. you can absolutely decide not to move forward with a personal brand. That's your choice. That's on you. There's some downsides though. The first one is that your business is going to blend in. You're going to blend in. You're not going to stand out in a crowd. You're going to go to a conference and nobody's going to know who you are. And at the end of the conference, they're still not going to know who you are. You are going to be competing solely on price. You're going to be competing solely on, can I get it cheaper, faster, better from somebody else, right? And they're going to forget you fast. When the more magnetic brand shows up, you're forgotten. When the story that they just can't shake stays with them, you are forgotten. When a connection is built and vulnerability is shown, you are forgotten. If you don't build a personal brand, you're making it more difficult to succeed. So if you're sitting here now at this point in the podcast and you're like, okay, I get it. I'm buying what you're selling. I need a personal brand. I don't have one. I don't know where to start. It's really simple. Define your core values. Step number 1, 3 to 5 max. Short sentences. 4 words, 5 words. Define your core values. I recommend that these core values are the core values that you have in your personal life and your business. They are one and the same. My core values that I have are the ones that I live and die by in every single dimension of my life. My kids know what they are. My staff knows what they are. Anybody that worked with me in corporate from 2018 forward knows what they are. They are my blueprint for how I do everything and anything. The second thing that you want to do is clarify your voice and tone. How you speak, what language you use, the information that you share, what you do and don't talk about. And then decide where you're going to show up. Are you on social media? Are you on LinkedIn? Do you have a podcast? Is it an email list? Do you have a website? Are you going to do media? Are you going to write a book? Are you going to be on a billboard? Choose where you're going to show up and then do it consistently. And then be a human. This one, probably the hardest part. You need to share some of the behind the scenes stuff. You need to demonstrate yourself as a thought leader. And remember how we talked about connection through stories earlier? You have to share your stories. Now, do you need to tell them everything? Do you need to unload and unpack and word vomit? No. Curate what you want to show and demonstrate. Remember, after all, what you're putting out there is your definition of your personal brand. How it's perceived is the reality of your personal brand. So curate your stories to give you the best shot at having the perception be the one that you want. And as you start to understand how others perceive you, make adjustments. So this isn't just a marketing ploy. I know that this can feel like this is the next thing. First it was like, know, and trust. Now it's personal branding. Then it's charisma, the blah, 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 right? A dear friend has an amazing business where she has you going from boring to branded. She's phenomenal and she's changing female entrepreneurs' lives and businesses because personal branding is so important. I am not a branding expert. I'm going to include her information in the show notes because she is a branding expert and is doing an amazing job. But I want you to know that this is not just a marketing tool. Your personal brand is your reputation. It's your legacy. It's what you will be known and remembered. From my seat, building one is not optional. It's essential. So if you do not have a personal brand, you don't know where to start, you have one and you don't think it's the right one, then I recommend you go to the show notes and you learn more about Boring to Branded. It's important. No matter if you work for somebody else or you have your own business, we all need a personal brand ASAP. I hope that this was helpful this week, and I look forward to hearing your stories about your personal branding journey, and I would love to see your things as you start to bring it to life if that is something that you choose to prioritize. Until we meet again, friends, please know that you are wise and you are strong and you are capable, and I believe in you.